Chapter 1. A faint morning light crept through the curtains, brushing the small apartment with the gentle promise of a new day. Alex stretched and yawned, feeling the familiar weight of uncertainty settle across his shoulders. At 27, he had a stable job, a modest income, and a quiet life, but deep down, he knew he was living paycheck to paycheck. He wanted more than bills and routines. He wanted freedom. Real freedom. The kind that let him choose where to live, what to do, and how to live without constantly checking his bank balance. The problem wasn't ambition. Alex had dreams of travel, of creating something meaningful, of breaking free from the invisible chains of financial stress. The problem was the how. The how seemed impossible. How could someone with limited knowledge, average income, and zero inherited wealth ever achieve financial freedom? One evening, after another long day at work, Alex stumbled across a blog post titled, "How Ordinary People Build Extraordinary Wealth." Skeptical but curious, he clicked. The words on the screen lit something inside him. Financial freedom is not for the lucky few. It is for those who learn, plan, and act consistently. Alex leaned back, heart pounding. That line alone felt like a lifeline. If freedom wasn't about luck, it was about strategy, and strategy could be learned. He realized something crucial. He didn't have to wait for opportunities to fall into his lap. He could build them. Over the next few days, Alex immersed himself in every resource he could find. Books, articles, podcasts, YouTube channels. He discovered simple truths that seemed almost too easy. Spend less than you earn, invest consistently, avoid debt traps, diversify income streams. Yet, it wasn't just about knowing, it was about doing. Knowledge without action was useless. The first step, Alex learned, was clarity. Where did he stand financially? He created a spreadsheet, listing every income source, every debt, and every monthly expense. Seeing the numbers laid bare was humbling. The reality of his situation, credit card balances, rent, student loans, stared back at him like an unflinching mirror. But instead of despair, Alex felt something else: empowerment. Knowing where he stood meant he could plan where to go. Next came mindset. Every morning, Alex began reading affirmations and stories of people who had achieved financial freedom. Stories of teachers who became investors, of nurses who built businesses on the side, of young adults who retired in their 40s. He realized that the biggest barrier wasn't money, it was belief. Belief that he could, belief that it was possible, belief that small, consistent steps mattered more than grand, unrealistic leaps. Motivated, Alex set tiny, achievable goals. Save $50 a week, cut one unnecessary expense, start learning about stocks. The first week was rocky. Skipping his daily coffee felt like torture, and saying no to online shopping tested his patience. But every small victory reinforced a new truth. Discipline felt like freedom, not restriction. Each saved dollar was a brick in the foundation of a future he could control. The real breakthrough came one Friday evening when he realized he wasn't just saving. He was thinking like an investor. He wasn't chasing quick wins. He was building assets. He researched dividend stocks, high-interest savings accounts, and simple side hustles. His small savings began to feel like seeds, each with the potential to grow into trees of financial security. But Alex knew this journey wasn't just about money, it was about identity. To become financially free, he had to change who he was. He began to see himself as a creator of opportunities, a learner, an investor in his own future. Each decision, every avoided impulse purchase, every saved dollar, every hour spent learning, was a vote for the person he wanted to become. And then came the moment he had been waiting for: action. Alex opened his first investment account. His hands trembled as he made his initial deposit, but inside, he felt a surge of power. This wasn't just a financial step, it was symbolic. He had crossed from intention to action, from dreaming to building. And he understood something profound. Financial freedom wasn't about how much you started with, it was about the courage to start at all. As he closed his laptop that night, Alex felt a flicker of excitement. The path ahead was long, filled with learning curves, temptations, and moments of doubt. But he also felt hope, steady, unwavering hope. Because he now knew the secret, the journey to financial freedom began not with money, but with mindset, clarity, and consistent action. And he was ready. Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex would face his first real challenge, a tempting purchase that could derail his progress. How would he respond? That decision would reveal whether his new habits were strong enough to survive real-world tests. Chapter 2. Saturday morning came with a crisp breeze that slipped through the slightly cracked window. Alex woke with a sense of purpose, a subtle tension coiling in his chest. The previous night, after depositing his first investment, he had imagined a future where financial stress was a distant memory. But now, reality pressed in. His phone buzzed with notifications, a new smartphone release, limited-time online sales, and reminders of friends' weekend outings. Temptation was everywhere. Alex brewed a cup of tea and sat at his small kitchen table, staring at his budget spreadsheet. The numbers no longer looked intimidating. They were tools, maps pointing toward a destination he controlled. But then came the test. A banner ad on his favorite shopping app flaunted the newest gadget. It wasn't necessary, but the thrill of instant gratification whispered seductively. "Buy it now," it urged. "You deserve it. One click won't hurt." He took a deep breath and remembered the affirmation he had read that morning. "I am in control. My choices create my freedom." The phrase replayed in his mind as if a mental shield had been activated. Alex closed the app and poured the money he would have spent into his savings jar instead. Small, seemingly insignificant victories like this, he realized, were the scaffolding for a future of financial freedom. By mid-afternoon, Alex felt a rush of motivation. He opened a notebook labeled Financial Freedom Plan and began to write down his goals with more precision than ever before. Not just vague aspirations, but measurable, timed objectives. Save $500 by the end of the month. Learn the basics of stock investment within 30 days. Start a side hustle to generate an extra $200 per month. Writing these down made them real, tangible. He could see the road ahead, not as an endless struggle, but as a series of manageable steps. The next challenge emerged unexpectedly. Alex received a text from a friend inviting him to a weekend shopping spree. The plan included dining out, trying new gadgets, and spending freely, a perfect storm for derailing his budget. His first instinct was to say yes. Socializing was important, and refusing might seem antisocial. But he paused. He imagined his future self, free from money worries, and realized that every decision either moved him closer or farther from that reality. "I can still spend time with friends," he thought, "but I don't need to spend money to enjoy it." Alex responded with an alternative plan, a picnic at the local park. No shopping, no unnecessary expenses, just good company and fresh air. Surprisingly, his friends loved the idea. That day, he learned an invaluable lesson. Living frugally didn't mean isolating oneself, it meant being intentional. Evening arrived, and Alex decided to dive deeper into investing. He had heard about the power of compounding, the almost magical way money could grow over time if invested wisely. He discovered that investing wasn't about luck, it was about time, patience, and knowledge. He opened several tabs on his laptop, reading about index funds, dividend stocks, and beginner-friendly ETFs. By the time he closed his laptop, Alex felt both exhilarated and exhausted. His mind was buzzing with ideas, plans, and strategies. But a subtle fear lingered. What if he made mistakes? What if he invested wrong and lost everything? He reminded himself of something he had read in one of the books. Mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. Every loss teaches you how to grow. The words reassured him. Fear wasn't a stop sign, it was a signal to learn more, plan better, and act wisely. Before bed, Alex updated his journal. He listed 3 key wins of the day: resisting temptation, creating actionable goals, and spending intentionally. He also wrote one question for himself: what small step can I take tomorrow to bring me closer to financial freedom? As sleep claimed him, Alex felt a strange mix of calm and excitement. He understood that the journey wasn't about overnight success, it was about consistency, learning, and small victories. Each decision, no matter how minor, was a vote for the life he envisioned. And tomorrow, another test awaited, a chance to earn extra income through a new side hustle opportunity. How would he balance learning, earning, and maintaining discipline? Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will face his first real side hustle challenge, balancing effort, time, and the temptation to quit. Will he push through, or will the comfort of his old routine pull him back? The answer will shape the trajectory of his journey to freedom. Chapter 3. The alarm buzzed at 6 a.m. sharp. Alex rubbed his eyes and swung his legs over the side of the bed, feeling the unusual mix of excitement and nervous tension. Today wasn't just any Saturday, it was the first day he would dive into his new side hustle. He had chosen freelance content writing, something he could do from home without a huge upfront investment. The goal wasn't to make a fortune immediately, it was to build a habit of earning extra income, one small step at a time. Coffee in hand, Alex opened his laptop and logged onto a popular freelancing platform. Listings flashed across the screen: blog posts, product descriptions, social media captions. The sheer volume of opportunities both thrilled and intimidated him. He selected a beginner-friendly project, writing a 500-word article for a small business. The pay was modest, but the real reward was experience. As he typed the first words, Alex felt doubt creep in. Who am I to write for someone else? What if they hate it? He shook his head, remembering the mantra he had been repeating: courage grows when action follows intention. The fear was natural, but it couldn't dictate his choices. He focused on the process rather than the outcome, determined to do his best and learn along the way. Hours passed. Words flowed unevenly, ideas stumbled, and he rewrote the introduction multiple times. But by mid-afternoon, the article was complete. Alex reviewed it meticulously before hitting submit. That small action, a single, completed project, felt monumental. It wasn't about perfection, it was about proving to himself that he could take initiative, even in unfamiliar territory. Payment came faster than expected. Seeing the first $25 deposit in his account triggered a thrill he hadn't felt in years. That money wasn't just cash, it was proof that his efforts could translate into results. The satisfaction wasn't in the number itself, but in the realization that he had control over earning more than his regular paycheck. Yet, the day wasn't without its challenges. Notifications from social media beckoned, tempting him to drift away from focus. Old habits whispered, "Relax, you've done enough today." Alex felt the tug, but resisted. Instead, he scheduled a short break, stretching and stepping outside for fresh air. The clarity he gained reminded him that discipline wasn't punishment, it was self-respect. Evening settled in, and Alex began reflecting on his progress. He updated his journal, noting lessons learned. Starting is more important than perfect execution. Small wins compound into confidence. Focus and discipline are assets as valuable as money. He realized that side hustles weren't just about income, they were about mindset. They taught resilience, problem-solving, and self-reliance. Every small success strengthened his belief that financial freedom wasn't an abstract dream. It was a series of deliberate choices accumulated over time. The next morning brought a fresh challenge, balancing his day job, side hustle, and personal life. Alex found himself stretched thin, facing exhaustion by late afternoon. He questioned whether it was worth it, whether the comfort of his old routine might be safer. But a quick glance at his savings jar, the growing investment account, and his journal reminded him why he started. Freedom required effort, persistence, and smart decisions. He discovered the importance of time management. Allocating specific hours for work, learning, and relaxation created structure. He also realized the value of batching tasks, writing multiple articles in focused sessions rather than sporadically, tracking expenses in one sitting, and learning investment strategies systematically. These small systems reduced friction, making consistent action easier. By Sunday evening, Alex felt a surge of accomplishment. He had completed 2 more articles, resisted unnecessary spending, and deepened his financial knowledge. He noted in his journal, "Consistency beats intensity. Small, deliberate steps build momentum." But the journey was far from over. The next week promised tougher tests, unexpected expenses, potential client revisions, and the temptation to procrastinate. Alex understood that real progress required preparation not just for success but for obstacles. Each challenge would teach him something new, molding him into a disciplined, resourceful individual capable of making wise financial decisions. Subhook for listeners. Next week, Alex will face a major test. His first unexpected expense threatens to derail his plans. Will he stick to his strategy, or will old habits creep back in? This moment could define whether his financial freedom journey gains momentum or stalls. Chapter 4. Monday morning arrived with its usual hum of alarms and traffic, but Alex felt different. He had momentum, the kind that made even early mornings feel purposeful. His side hustle was picking up, his savings were growing steadily, and his mindset had shifted from fear to determination. Yet, life has a way of testing resolve when you least expect it. That afternoon, as he sipped his coffee at his desk, a notification popped up, "Car maintenance due. $320. Alex froze. That wasn't planned. It was more than he had allocated for emergencies this month. A wave of panic threatened to derail him. Old habits whispered, "Use your savings. Buy now, worry later." For a moment, he considered it. After all, it was convenient. But deep down, he knew that giving in would compromise the progress he had worked so hard to build. Alex remembered the lessons from his journal. Discipline creates freedom. Impulse creates stress. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and outlined his options. He could tap into his emergency fund, preserving his investment and savings. Negotiate the repair costs or delay non-critical maintenance. Find a temporary side hustle or small gig to cover the expense. He chose a combination. Researched cheaper repair options while scheduling a quick freelance gig to cover part of the cost. This decision wasn't just about money, it was about maintaining control, reinforcing a habit of problem-solving rather than panic. That evening, Alex researched local mechanics, called a few shops, and discovered he could save $120 by choosing a reliable, smaller garage. Then, he posted a quick task on a freelance platform he hadn't explored before. By the next morning, he secured a small project writing product descriptions for a new online store. The pay wouldn't be huge, but combined with the savings from the repair, it covered the unexpected expense without touching his long-term savings. The experience taught Alex a critical lesson. Financial freedom wasn't about avoiding problems. It was about preparing, adapting, and responding intentionally. Unexpected expenses were inevitable, but with foresight, planning, and creativity, they didn't have to be catastrophic. Inspired by the success, Alex reviewed his budget and financial goals that night. He realized that true financial freedom required more than earning extra income. It demanded protection. Emergency funds, smart spending, and flexibility weren't luxuries. They were lifelines. He adjusted his monthly allocation. 50% for necessities, 30% for investments and savings, 20% for discretionary spending and learning opportunities. This simple shift gave him a sense of balance, structure, and security. Beyond numbers, Alex noticed a subtle but profound change within himself. He no longer felt trapped by uncertainty. Each challenge reinforced his resilience and creativity. He began to view problems as opportunities to learn, rather than obstacles to avoid. The car repair wasn't just a bill, it was a test of his commitment, a small victory that strengthened his financial habits. By the weekend, Alex reflected on the past few days in his journal. He listed wins, successfully managing an unexpected expense, completing 3 freelance projects, resisting impulsive spending, and maintaining focus on his long-term goals. Then he wrote a note to himself: "Progress is built in the gaps between challenges. Your habits, not luck, shape your future." That night, before falling asleep, Alex allowed himself a small celebration: a walk in the park, a favorite snack, and the satisfaction of knowing he had handled a real-life financial curveball without derailing his plan. He realized that success wasn't a single monumental achievement. It was a string of deliberate, small victories strung together over time. Subhook for listeners: tomorrow, Alex will face a new challenge, learning the basics of investing in stocks. Will he take action, or will fear of making mistakes hold him back? This step will mark a turning point in his journey toward financial freedom. Chapter 5. Tuesday morning dawned bright and clear, and Alex felt a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. Today wasn't about side hustles or budgeting, it was about investing. For weeks, he had read articles, watched tutorials, and listened to podcasts about stocks, ETFs, and compound interest. The concept excited him, but it also intimidated him. Money wasn't just numbers on a screen anymore. It was a tool that could either grow or shrink depending on his choices. He sat at his small desk, notebook open, pen ready. The first step was simple: learn the basics thoroughly before risking anything. Alex wrote down key principles he had learned. Never invest money you can't afford to lose. Start small, learn fast. Diversify investments to reduce risk. Think long-term, not short-term. These rules felt like a safety net. They reassured him that even if he made mistakes, he could recover and learn from them. Alex began by exploring dividend stocks. He was fascinated by the idea of earning money while doing nothing, letting the company's profits work for him. It was a concept so different from the hourly grind of his job. The idea of compounding, of watching a small investment grow exponentially over years, ignited a spark of excitement. After careful research, he chose a few beginner-friendly companies with a history of stable dividends. His first investment was modest, just enough to get started without risking financial stability. Hands slightly trembling, Alex clicked buy. The transaction confirmed, and his heart swelled with pride. This was more than money moving in an account. It was a statement of intent. He was no longer just dreaming about freedom, he was building it. But investing wasn't just about buying stocks. It was about patience, observation, and learning from each decision. Alex spent the next hours tracking market trends, reading company profiles, and noting patterns in stock behavior. He realized that while the markets could be unpredictable, knowledge and strategy provided control. Impulsive decisions could lead to losses, but informed, disciplined moves built wealth steadily over time. Even as he absorbed information, temptation lurked. Ads for quick investment schemes, flashy cryptocurrencies, and get-rich-fast programs tempted him. Alex paused and recalled the lessons from his journey. Freedom isn't achieved through shortcuts. It's earned through disciplined action, education, and persistence. He closed the tabs and refocused on the reliable companies he had researched. By evening, Alex reflected on what he had accomplished. The first small investment was more than a financial step. It was a psychological milestone. He had faced fear, resisted shortcuts, and taken deliberate action. Writing in his journal, he noted, "Fear is a signal to prepare, not to retreat. Action creates confidence." He also recognized the importance of tracking and adjusting. Investments weren't static. They required ongoing learning and monitoring. He decided to dedicate a few hours each week to review his portfolio, read financial news, and refine his strategies. Small, consistent steps would compound into knowledge and wealth over time, just as his financial mentors had described. That night, Alex shared his experience with a friend who had expressed interest in starting their own investment journey. Explaining his steps reinforced his learning. Teaching, he realized, was a powerful tool for understanding complex concepts. The conversation left him energized and motivated to continue growing. As Alex turned off the lights, he felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had taken control of his finances, faced fears, and embraced the first true step toward building wealth. The road ahead would be long, filled with learning curves, market fluctuations, and moments of doubt, but he now understood a crucial truth. Every deliberate, educated step brought him closer to financial freedom. Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will face his first challenge with his investments, a sudden dip in the stock market. Will fear make him sell impulsively, or will he trust his plan and let patience guide him? This moment will test his discipline like never before. Chapter 6. Wednesday morning arrived, gray clouds hanging low over the city. Alex sipped his coffee, scrolling through his investment account, expecting the usual small fluctuations. But his stomach sank as he stared at the numbers. The value of his first stock investment had dropped by nearly 5%. Panic threatened to rise. What if I made a mistake? What if I lose everything? He leaned back, taking a deep breath. This was the moment he had anticipated in his subhook, the first real test of patience and discipline. He reminded himself, investing was a long-term game, not a sprint. Short-term dips were normal, even expected. Every investor he had studied had faced similar moments. The difference between those who succeeded and those who failed wasn't luck, it was mindset. Alex began to analyze calmly. He reviewed the company reports, recent market trends, and news. Nothing indicated a fundamental problem with the company he had chosen. The decline was purely market volatility, temporary fluctuations that were part of the game. This understanding brought relief, but he knew relief alone wouldn't build wealth. Action and learning were required. He opened his journal and wrote, "Market dips are not losses, they are opportunities to learn and prepare." With that perspective, Alex explored strategies for navigating such situations. He learned about dollar-cost averaging, investing consistent amounts over time, regardless of market highs or lows. This approach would reduce the risk of poor timing and build confidence in long-term growth. Instead of panicking, Alex decided to invest a small additional amount in his chosen stock, taking advantage of the lower price. The act was empowering. He was not reacting emotionally. He was making a calculated, deliberate move to strengthen his position. With each purchase, he felt a shift from fear to control. The day wasn't just about numbers, it was about mindset. Alex realized that the biggest challenge in financial freedom wasn't always money, it was his own emotions. Fear, greed, and impatience could sabotage even the best plans. Building wealth required mastering these internal forces as much as understanding financial principles. By afternoon, Alex felt energized. He spent the next few hours reading about market cycles, understanding how long-term trends differed from daily fluctuations. The deeper his knowledge grew, the more confident he felt. He began to see investments not as risky gambles but as strategic tools, each decision a step toward a life free from financial stress. Even his day job felt different. Tasks that had once seemed tedious now appeared as opportunities. An opportunity to earn money to invest, to build skill, to strengthen his path to freedom. The ordinary became extraordinary through the lens of purpose. That evening, Alex reflected in his journal. He had survived his first real test without panic. He had learned to separate emotion from logic, to see dips as opportunities rather than threats, and to trust a disciplined plan. He recognized that patience, knowledge, and deliberate action were more valuable than any short-term gain. Before bed, Alex set a small goal for the next week. Continue learning about investing, track market trends, and make consistent, disciplined contributions to his portfolio. He smiled, realizing that financial freedom wasn't a distant dream anymore. It was a journey he was actively shaping, step by step. Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will encounter a tempting opportunity to spend his hard-earned money on something unnecessary. Will he maintain discipline, or will old habits threaten to undo his progress? This test will prove whether his mindset is strong enough to sustain his journey toward financial freedom. Chapter 7. Thursday evening arrived with a golden sunset spilling across the city skyline. Alex felt a sense of calm after navigating the stock market dip yesterday, but comfort can be deceptive. That night, as he scrolled through social media, an ad caught his eye: limited edition sneakers, get them before they're gone. His heart skipped a beat. He'd been watching these sneakers for months, imagining how they'd complete his collection. The temptation was powerful. Alex closed the ad and took a deep breath. He could feel the old instinct rising, the part of him that wanted instant gratification, the part that whispered, "You deserve it. One purchase won't hurt." But he remembered the lessons he had learned over the past few weeks. Discipline was the bridge to freedom, and every impulsive decision chipped away at that bridge. He reached for his journal and wrote, "Do I want short-term pleasure or long-term freedom?" The question hung in the air, heavy with truth. Alex realized that giving in wouldn't just cost money, it would cost momentum, confidence, and the sense of control he had been carefully building. Instead of buying, he decided to apply a practical strategy he had recently learned, the 24-hour rule. If he still wanted the item after 24 hours, he could consider it. This simple delay often revealed whether desire was genuine or fleeting. By the next morning, the urge had faded. The sneakers were no longer a priority. Financial freedom was. With that victory, Alex turned his focus to growth. He spent time researching additional income streams and discovered affiliate marketing, a way to earn commissions by promoting products online. Intrigued, he decided to experiment with a small blog. He wrote his first post, embedding a few affiliate links for products he genuinely used and trusted. The process was slow and challenging, but Alex felt excitement he hadn't experienced in years. This wasn't just earning, it was building an asset that could generate income passively. By the weekend, he had completed 3 more freelance writing projects, updated his blog, and even created a small savings plan for his side hustle earnings. He began to notice a pattern. Small, consistent actions produced results far greater than sporadic bursts of effort. Discipline and structure were multiplying his progress, transforming incremental steps into meaningful momentum. Even his mindset shifted. Alex no longer saw money as a finite resource to be spent recklessly. He began to view it as a tool, a lever he could use to generate more opportunities, grow wealth, and secure freedom. Every decision, every choice, every dollar had a purpose. Spending thoughtfully felt empowering, not restrictive. That night, as he updated his journal, Alex reflected on his victories. Resisting temptation, experimenting with affiliate marketing, completing side projects, and reinforcing his disciplined habits. He wrote, "Freedom is built in moments of resistance. Each choice aligned with purpose strengthens the path ahead." Before sleep, he reviewed his goals for the week. He realized that mastery of financial freedom wasn't about grand gestures or massive windfalls. It was about building resilience, self-control, and intentional habits. Every decision reinforced the identity he wanted to embody. Someone who controlled his money rather than being controlled by it. Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will face an unexpected opportunity, a chance to invest in a small business venture. Will he recognize it as a strategic growth step, or will fear and doubt hold him back? This decision could accelerate or stall his journey toward financial freedom. Chapter 8. Friday morning arrived with a crisp breeze, carrying with it the quiet excitement of possibilities. Alex was reviewing his notes from the week when a notification popped up on his phone. A local small business he had been following was seeking micro-investors to help fund a new product launch. The amount required was modest, but the potential return, though uncertain, could be significant. Alex felt a rush of emotions: excitement, curiosity, and the subtle pull of fear. Investing in a business felt riskier than buying stocks. What if the venture failed? What if he lost his money? Yet, he reminded himself of the lessons he had been learning. Calculated risks, based on knowledge and research, could create opportunities, while fear without reason only stifled growth. He spent the morning digging into the company's history, reviewing financial reports, and reading customer testimonials. The business had a strong track record and a product with real demand. With each piece of information, his confidence grew. This wasn't a gamble. It was a decision informed by analysis and understanding. Alex then created a simple plan. He would invest a small amount he could afford to lose, monitor the progress, and reinvest any returns strategically. He wasn't betting everything. He was testing a new avenue for growth while managing risk. The moment he transferred the funds, a sense of purpose surged through him. This was more than money moving. It was a deliberate step toward building multiple streams of income. The process wasn't without challenges. As he finalized the investment, doubts crept in. What if I made a mistake? What if I should have waited? But Alex paused, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. He had faced market dips, resisted impulse purchases, and built side hustles from scratch. Each experience had reinforced one truth: taking informed action, even when uncertain, was better than inaction. Later that evening, he journaled his reflections. He noted lessons learned from this first small business investment. Risk is inherent, but manageable with research and limits. Every new venture is a learning opportunity, regardless of outcome. Confidence grows through action, not speculation. With a clear mind, Alex planned the following week. He scheduled time to monitor his investment, continue freelance writing, and explore additional ways to grow his side hustle income. The balance between risk, learning, and consistency was becoming a pattern, a framework he could rely on for future decisions. Alex also realized that financial freedom wasn't just about accumulating money, it was about creating options. Each investment, each project, each decision expanded his choices, his flexibility, and his independence. The small business investment wasn't just a financial step, it was a psychological shift, a demonstration that he could make calculated moves toward wealth creation confidently. By the weekend, Alex reflected on his progress. He had completed 4 freelance projects, contributed to his investment portfolio, resisted unnecessary spending, and taken a step into entrepreneurship. His journal read, "Freedom is earned through deliberate action, informed risk, and consistent effort. Each step builds my path forward." Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will face an unexpected challenge. His side hustle workload conflicts with personal commitments, testing his time management and priorities. How he navigates this will reveal the strength of the systems he has built for financial freedom. Chapter 9. Saturday morning arrived with a golden glow, but Alex felt the tension of a packed schedule. His freelance projects were piling up, his small business investment required monitoring, and he had promised to help a friend with a weekend project. For the first time, he realized that financial freedom wasn't just about money, it was about managing time, energy, and priorities. He brewed coffee and sat down with his journal, creating a simple list. Complete 2 freelance articles. Review small business investment progress. Assist friend for 3 hours. Personal learning. Invest an hour reading about ETFs. Seeing it laid out made the challenge tangible. Alex realized that structure was his ally. He blocked time for each task, creating a rhythm to prevent overwhelm. Each hour was allocated, but with small buffers for rest and flexibility. This wasn't restriction, it was creating space to succeed. The day began with freelance writing. At first, he struggled to focus. Notifications, social media, and minor distractions threatened to derail him. But Alex applied a strategy he had read about, the Pomodoro technique. Working in focused 25-minute bursts, followed by short breaks, he found productivity skyrocketed. Tasks that once felt daunting now moved steadily forward. By midday, he switched to reviewing his small business investment. He tracked metrics, read updates from the company, and noted trends. The investment wasn't just numbers, it was a lesson in observation, patience, and analysis. He realized that managing multiple income streams required attention to detail and consistency. In the afternoon, Alex helped his friend. While it wasn't directly income-generating, it strengthened relationships and built goodwill, intangible assets that could open doors in the future. He learned that balance was crucial. Time spent wisely could enrich life beyond financial gains. By evening, he devoted an hour to studying ETFs, understanding how diversified investments could reduce risk and provide long-term growth. Alex reflected that every deliberate action reinforced his financial intelligence, shaping habits that would compound alongside his money. As he updated his journal, he noticed a recurring pattern. Every challenge, every scheduling conflict, every temptation was an opportunity to strengthen discipline. Time management wasn't about rigid control. It was about creating systems that allowed intentional choices without stress or panic. Before bed, Alex paused and celebrated small wins, completing projects, learning new investment strategies, and balancing commitments. He wrote, "Financial freedom is built not just on money, but on mastery of time, habits, and focus. Systems create consistency. Consistency builds momentum." Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will face a tempting opportunity to spend his first side hustle earnings on something unnecessary. Will he resist, or will short-term pleasure undermine the systems he has built? This test will reveal how strong his discipline has become. Chapter 10. Sunday morning came with sunlight streaming through the window, warming Alex's small apartment. He brewed his usual coffee, feeling a sense of quiet anticipation. Today was different. Today, he would face a challenge he hadn't encountered before, deciding what to do with the first earnings from his side hustle. The amount wasn't huge, but it was meaningful. Seeing the deposit in his account brought a mix of pride and temptation. Ads for gadgets, clothes, and entertainment nudged him from every corner of the internet. The instinct to spend immediately was strong. "You've earned it, you deserve it," his mind whispered. But Alex paused. This was a pivotal moment, a test of discipline and long-term thinking. He opened his journal and wrote, "Will I spend for momentary pleasure or invest for lasting freedom?" The question forced him to consider the consequences of each choice. Spending would provide immediate satisfaction but little long-term value. Investing or saving could compound over time, building wealth and security. Alex decided to split his earnings strategically. A portion went to his savings, another to reinvestment in his small business opportunity, and a small portion was allocated as a reward for himself, a modest treat that wouldn't derail his progress. This simple allocation created balance. He acknowledged achievement while reinforcing habits that built his future. As he reflected, Alex realized a deeper truth. Financial freedom wasn't about depriving oneself, it was about intentionality. Every dollar had a purpose, and aligning spending with goals created empowerment rather than restriction. He felt lighter, freer, and more confident than ever before. Later that afternoon, Alex spent time reviewing his financial plan and investment portfolio. The small business investment had already shown early signs of traction. Freelance projects were steady, and his side hustle earnings were gradually growing. Each step reinforced the idea that consistent, disciplined action, rather than luck or shortcuts, was the key to wealth. He also revisited his learning goals. Alex realized that financial freedom required continuous growth, not just in money but in knowledge and mindset. He spent time reading about passive income streams, dividend reinvestment, and tax-efficient strategies. The more he learned, the more options he created for himself, expanding his potential to earn and invest wisely. By evening, Alex updated his journal once more. He noted victories, resisting impulsive spending, splitting his earnings strategically, completing side projects, and deepening his financial knowledge. He concluded with a reminder to himself, discipline compounds faster than money. Each smart choice today makes freedom inevitable tomorrow. That night, Alex felt a surge of gratitude. He had earned, resisted temptation, and reinforced systems that would serve him for years. Financial freedom wasn't a distant dream, it was unfolding through the sum of deliberate choices, small victories, and consistent action. Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will face a new challenge, navigating an unexpected expense while maintaining his growing side hustle and investment routine. How he manages this will test his resilience and commitment to his financial goals. Chapter 11. Monday morning arrived quietly, the city still waking as Alex sipped his coffee. He opened his laptop to check his side hustle and investments, feeling a sense of routine and control. But today, life threw an unexpected curveball. His landlord sent a message about an urgent repair in his apartment, a leaky roof that needed immediate attention, costing 15,000 Kenyan shillings. Alex's heart raced. This was the largest unplanned expense he had faced yet. For a moment, panic threatened to take over. Old habits whispered, "Charge it, worry later." But he caught himself. He had come too far to let one setback derail weeks of progress. He took a deep breath, reminding himself, financial freedom was not about avoiding obstacles, it was about responding wisely. He immediately assessed his options. Use his emergency fund. Negotiate a payment plan with the landlord. Generate income quickly through side hustles. Alex decided on a combination. Pay part from his emergency fund and take on an extra freelance project to cover the remaining amount. He contacted his landlord, negotiating a 2-week payment window, which bought him time. Then he scoured freelance platforms, securing a writing project with a tight deadline but sufficient pay to cover the shortfall. The day tested every skill Alex had developed: time management, discipline, and emotional control. He worked intensely, completing the freelance task while monitoring his investment accounts. Every decision was deliberate, every action intentional. It was a real-world application of everything he had been learning, the bridge between theory and practice. By evening, the payment was secured. The roof repair was covered without touching his long-term investments. Alex felt relief but also pride. He realized that financial freedom was not about never encountering challenges. It was about building the knowledge, habits, and resources to handle them without panic. Reflecting in his journal, Alex noted critical lessons. Emergency funds are lifelines, not optional extras. Negotiation and communication can buy valuable time. Consistent income-generating habits provide flexibility in crises. Discipline and planning compound in moments of stress. As he closed his laptop, Alex felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had faced a significant financial obstacle and emerged unshaken. The experience reinforced the importance of preparedness, resilience, and a mindset oriented toward solutions rather than fear. That night, he rewarded himself modestly, a walk outside and a favorite snack. The reward wasn't about indulgence, it was acknowledgement of effort, discipline, and success in navigating a challenge. He wrote in his journal, "Obstacles don't derail those with plans and discipline. Every challenge strengthens the foundation of freedom." Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will explore passive income strategies to further accelerate his journey toward financial freedom. How he integrates these strategies will determine whether he can truly scale his progress. Chapter 12. Tuesday morning dawned crisp and clear, and Alex felt a quiet energy buzzing inside him. The roof repair was behind him, freelance projects were on track, and his small investments were steadily growing. Today, however, he wanted to focus on something new: passive income. The idea had fascinated him for weeks, earning money even while sleeping, freeing time, and accelerating his path to financial freedom. He began by reviewing potential avenues: dividend stocks, affiliate marketing, online courses, and digital products. Each option had its pros and cons, risks and rewards. Alex realized that diversification, a principle he had applied to investing, was just as important here. Relying on one source was limiting. Multiple streams could reduce risk and multiply returns. He started small, expanding his affiliate marketing blog. Instead of just embedding product links, he wrote value-driven content, reviews, and guides. The goal wasn't instant earnings, it was credibility and consistency. Alex knew that trust and effort compounded over time, just like his investments. Next, he explored dividend reinvestment strategies. By reinvesting the dividends from his stocks rather than spending them, he could accelerate compounding. Alex calculated projections for the next 5 years. Even modest contributions, combined with disciplined reinvestment, could result in substantial growth. Seeing the numbers laid out concretely reinforced his belief. Small, consistent actions built wealth. Alex also experimented with creating a simple digital product, a beginner's guide to personal budgeting. He had learned firsthand that financial literacy was powerful, and sharing knowledge could generate income while helping others. He spent the afternoon drafting, designing, and planning a launch. Even the act of creating felt empowering. He was building assets that could earn beyond his immediate time. By evening, Alex reflected in his journal. He realized that passive income wasn't magic. It required effort, planning, and patience. But unlike active work, it leveraged his time and knowledge to generate returns long after the initial effort. Financial freedom, he understood, was about creating systems that worked for him continuously, not just relying on sporadic labor. He also noted a psychological shift. Alex no longer equated work purely with money. Now, work could create opportunities, learning, and assets. Time was becoming his most valuable currency, and passive income strategies allowed him to exchange effort for long-term leverage. Before bed, he updated his goals, expand his affiliate blog, launch the digital budgeting guide, reinvest dividends monthly, and continue freelance projects with consistent discipline. He wrote, "Financial freedom accelerates when knowledge, action, and leverage intersect. Build systems, not just income." Alex went to sleep feeling a sense of power and possibility. He was no longer just reacting to life. He was designing it. Each decision, each investment, each side hustle, and each passive income project was a deliberate step toward independence. The road ahead remained challenging, but he now had tools, habits, and a mindset to navigate it with confidence. Subhook for listeners. Tomorrow, Alex will review his entire financial journey so far and plan the final strategies to secure long-term freedom. This reflection will reveal how far consistent action can take anyone willing to start. Chapter 13. Wednesday morning arrived calm and bright, but Alex felt a sense of anticipation that went beyond the weather. Today, he wasn't chasing deadlines or monitoring investments. Today was about reflection. He wanted to see how far he had come, what he had learned, and how to plan for the next stage of his journey toward financial freedom. He brewed his coffee, opened his journal, and began writing. The pages were filled with lessons, victories, mistakes, and insights. He read entries from the early days, moments of doubt, small victories, first side hustle payments, resisting impulse purchases, handling unexpected expenses, and making his first investments. Reading them, Alex felt a surge of pride. He realized something profound. The person he was now was not the same person from just a few weeks ago. His mindset, discipline, and confidence had transformed. He reflected on the systems he had built, a budget that prioritized savings and investments, disciplined time management for side hustles, multiple streams of income, and a foundation of financial literacy. These systems weren't rigid rules. They were frameworks that allowed him to make smart decisions, reduce stress, and seize opportunities. Alex understood that freedom wasn't accidental. It was engineered through intentional action. Next, he reviewed his investments. Dividend stocks, the small business micro-investment, and his growing freelance income were all working together. Passive income strategies were starting to show promise, and reinvestment plans were compounding steadily. Alex realized that even small amounts, when handled wisely, could grow exponentially over time. It wasn't about luck, it was about consistency, patience, and strategic action. He then looked at his mindset shifts. The old Alex had been reactive, swayed by impulses and fear. Now, he approached challenges as opportunities. Unplanned expenses became tests, temptations became lessons, and market fluctuations became practice in patience. Every decision reinforced his identity as someone who controlled his finances instead of being controlled by them. Alex also revisited his personal goals. Travel, security, learning, and helping others were no longer distant dreams. They were achievable targets with actionable steps. He outlined new milestones, expanding his digital products, exploring additional passive income avenues, and increasing contributions to his investment accounts. Every milestone reinforced a larger vision, not just financial freedom, but a life of choice, purpose, and opportunity. By afternoon, Alex felt an incredible sense of clarity. He understood that financial freedom was not about the numbers alone, it was about identity, habits, knowledge, and resilience. Wealth was not just money in the bank, it was control over time, energy, and decisions. And he realized something even more empowering. This journey was ongoing. There was no finish line, only continuous growth and improvement. Before bed, Alex made a final journal entry. Financial freedom is built one choice at a time. Every dollar saved, every skill learned, every disciplined action compounds into a life of possibilities. Start small, stay consistent, and never underestimate the power of deliberate action. He closed his journal and looked out the window at the city lights. Each light reminded him of possibilities, the countless opportunities waiting for those willing to start, learn, and persist. Alex smiled, knowing he had taken control of his life, transformed his mindset, and begun a journey that would grow stronger with every choice he made. Subhook for listeners. Your journey begins the moment you take the first step. What choice will you make today to start building your own financial freedom?